So all of that stuff where publishers are reducing titles doesn't matter if Marvel's releasing 115
you said.
comic books in the month of May.
Come on and visit for any occasion. Don't keep patting down waiting. Comics and conversation. Keep the conversation moving along. Keep bringing comics. Keep your local store strong. If it's hard, then it's a job for the challengers. Comics and conversation, y'all.
From Challengers Comics and Conversation in Chicago, this is Contest of Challengers. And now, here are Patrick Brower and W. Dal Bush.
Dal, I had several, in fact, lighthearted ways to start this episode of the podcast this week.
Uh-huh.
And I immediately realized that I need something to drink because my voice is already rough and scratchy.
Okay.
But something happened during the day that was so infuriating, I need to start with it. And it is not anything to do with customers,
Weird.
publishers,
That's your go-to, usually.
or the comics themselves.
Okay.
It is, in fact, dealing with the perception of comics in general, but Challengers specific in the eyes of non-comic readers. Does that have you intrigued?
Does a little bit. I had to talk to my dentist today, and all he wanted to talk about was what's the hot comics right now. It's like, well, Saga, but you don't read that. So Batman, Superman. Yeah, my mom had some comics that she sent me from back home. It was Gumby in 3D, and it was just like, I don't want to do this. I'm paying you, and I shouldn't have to sit through this.
That's true. So regular customers to the store in the last few weeks probably have seen some construction-esque activity around our specific location in our building. I don't know if they'd be able to see that, but they might hear or, see some extra dust or see some activity through the windows of the other units near us. That's a possibility, right? You'd agree with that so far?
I would agree with all those statements.
Okay, and then we found out, and we talked about before, that the corner spot, the northmost unit in our little building, is going to be an ATM store. I heard today probably Bank of America.
I mean, an ATM location for sure. I would love to see what an ATM store looks like.
It's a store you buy ATMs.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
I didn't know there was a big enough market for that.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
you only need 2 floor models, really. That's what they're going to have. Which one of these two do you want to buy?
The in-wall and the freestanding.
Yeah.
And then the price depends on how much money you want it to come stocked with.
Yes.
That's the big deal. Because it's not an ATM kiosk, it's too big to call it a kiosk.
It's way too big of a location, in my estimation, for 2 ATMs.
An unmanned 2 ATM unit.
I don't know if they're predicting that people are going to get their money out and then want to hang around for 20 minutes having a coffee, like if there's going to be freestanding tables.
Boy, I can't wait to see the homeless situation in that.
It's going to be great. Not my responsibility to clean.
Anyway, future reference, what would you like me to call it?
ATM home.
I'm not doing it. I'm not doing that.
So I don't get a vote after all. Got it.
You do. You got to vote. It's just that your candidate didn't win.
I'm an American, and I chose poorly with my vote. That's the process.
And we had heard that the other space, the former Boost Mobile spot, the former very brief gift cards are us or whatever it was spot.
Fly by night.
I think that was its legal. It was Fly by Night LLC, but it was like Red Cardinal Cards or something. I don't know. I made that up, but it was Red something.
They were incorporated in the Cayman Islands.
And they had our store colors, which made things confusing.
Yeah, very confusing. The fact that some of that stuff is still up is very confusing to delivery people.
Did you happen to notice that they've mounted new exterior lights on the facade of our building?
Nope.
They jut out over the doors for the other spots.
Nice.
Not ours.
Of course not.
I think they can't do it for us because directly over our door is
a window?
The balcony.
Okay.
It's, that area.
Okay.
Like looking, because they mount them into the brick, and then we have the pillar right next to us.
Okay. Well, we can ask.
And then it is over Sidekick store, though.
Okay.
So the C is lit up in that window.
That's cool.
Because they're very bright and they're on at night. It's a security measure.
Sure.
and it just so happens that they don't extend to, the one active store in the spot.
They never do.
But we'd been told in the conversation I had with the maintenance guy from our building that the other store has also been rented, which, FYI, not entirely true. Things have not been signed.
Okay.
But we've also been told that it is going to be a barbershop.
Okay.
Well, that much is true because it turns out that it is the barber of one of our club members. And when this club member was getting their haircut most recently, it's a barber who's leaving his shop and opening his own.
Okay.
Like the shop that he works at, he's opening his own shop. In a move very akin to a thing that I believe we did.
Okay.
With our failed barbershop.
Yeah. I don't like cutting hair. That's the problem.
Challengers, crude cuts and conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the conversation is the worst part of any haircut experience.
Absolutely. If anything, I would call it
dental.
Haircuts and no conversation.
Yeah, there you go. So they are looking at that spot, and they need to have the plumbing redone because they have to have sinks put in.
Okay.
So there's issues with that. Although I think it's pretty easy because all the water in that spot comes from the ceiling.
It's true.
So they're just trying to price it out now. But here is the catch. Here is the point of this story. Not the building owners, not the people we pay money to, because as you know, when buildings want to rent out retail space, they don't do it themselves. What do?
I don't know.
They hire somebody.
Okay.
They hire a company
Okay.
to do it. And you've seen buildings for rent change rental or leasing companies just because one company wasn't doing it, so somebody else takes over and tries to rent it.
Okay.
So the people that are currently in charge of renting the two spots in our building to the people that would, in essence, be our direct neighbors, see us as a negative and tell prospective clients that. That, well, you do have to share the building with a comic store, so you're probably not going to be into that.
Have to tell all of our wards that.
Yeah. That is how we, a business that has been in that spot for 11 years, the only business that has stayed for the duration of this building being there, is seen by the people whose job it is to get businesses into the building.
They're telling the ATM kiosk people and probably the vape shop and the fly-by-night gift card people, well, you do have to share it with a comic book store.
Yeah.
The comic shop is beneath all of those other businesses.
Yeah. Doesn't that warm your heart?
I mean, I've been to comic shops. I see why they say it.
No, man. They say that, you say that generically. These are people that have to have been near or in our store to get people into this building. They are people that we've probably let into the back of the hallway to see how the rest of the building goes.
Definitely stop doing that.
These are people that have direct experience with our store. And I know you were making a joke, and I know you're trying to be funny, but when it's directly related to our business,
Sure.
They can go fuck themselves.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm used to us not getting any respect from anyone related to the building that we rent in and have been renting in for 11 years.
Yep.
So it doesn't surprise me in the least that a third party basically shares the building's disinterest in retaining our business. So that's cool. I mean, I would be shocked if they were telling people it was a positive.
Yeah. However, plus side, the potential renter of the business is a big comic book fan.
That's cool.
And is also I don't know how to describe this, a man of today, a heavily tattooed and pierced gentleman.
Okay.
So, using that as a visual, we're still the thing that is...
That's the negative.
Disrespectful. Or, not disrespectful, but disrespected.
Sure.
Or, yeah, we're the negative in this building.
Yep.
We drive everything down. That was super fun to hear.
I'm sure. Thank you for sharing that. I'm glad I know that piece of information now.
I mean, it does change how... I mean, like I said, it's not the building that was doing it, but it's not the building.
I suppose.
But as you pointed out, the owners of the building have long shown they don't respect us.
Yeah.
Just the sheer amount of workers and construction that's happening with them never telling us this is happening.
Yeah. That's making the entire back area messy.
Oh, yeah.
Using up all of our paper goods in the bathroom.
They replaced stuff.
And the mop that's gone missing.
Yeah.
Due to somebody somewhere in the back area.
So when I was complaining about the sheer amount of dust on the floor in the back to the maintenance guy, he's like, "Well, they have to clean it up. Tell them they have to clean it up. They have to do it." I'm telling you.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what are we supposed... Like, or
Yeah,
what? What is the threat? What is the leverage that we have over these people? Tell them. Okay, I'll get right on that. I'm sure the result is going to be to everyone's satisfaction.
And the fact that our mop is missing, we found out because I have previously mopped the back hallway once for the construction, and it desperately needs it again, and I went to do it again, and our mop is just gone.
Yeah.
But it's not on site because I searched there. I have no compunction against going into their under construction buildings or stores, shells, and poking through everything looking for my mop.
No,
I'm not taking anything else but my mop if I find it. And we were at a Walmart this week. I'm like, I should buy a new mop. No, I shouldn't, because the mop that I would buy is only useful for that back hallway, which it's not our job to clean.
Also, I would not buy a new mop until the construction guys are gone.
Yeah, but I mean, it needs it. It needs it bad. It's only going to get worse.
Let it get worse.
Because I don't want it to, because of how much dust gets tracked into our store.
Pick one. Dust gets tracked in, or the mop goes missing again. One or the other.
I'll bike lock it.
Okay.
I'll do that.
You could just keep the mop in the back of challengers or sidekicks instead of leaving it out in the hallway.
Yeah, we could do that. Because clearly writing our name on it doesn't count.
No, they don't care.
So I have a list of things to go through, but I see you have a list as well.
Not really.
So I'll let you...
you can go first.
No, I'll let you go with...
I was looking at the May catalog, Marvel Comics, at a time when a lot of publishers are at ComicsPRO right now telling people that they're reducing their title count because the market is flooded with content and it's not healthy for the market to have this much stuff being pumped into it. Marvel has decided that for the month of May, which is a 5-week month, they're releasing 115 individual comics. That's not counting variant covers or graphic novels. Of those 115 comics, 25 of them are War of the Realms tie-ins, either the main series or spin-offs and tie-ins and key issues and whatnot. 11 comics are double shipping for the month. 3 of those double shipping comics are shipping both issues 1 and 2 in the month of May. 1 book is triple shipping, that's Amazing Spider-Man, and there are 18 reprints coming out from the 115 comics that are being offered.
For those 18 reprints, are those the True Believers?
True Believers and Marvel Tales.
Like in facsimile editions, like that kind of stuff?
Yep.
Did you happen to notice how many of those are higher priced than $3.99?
I wouldn't even want to start counting. It's a lot.
Yeah, that is an insane number of products. And as you pointed out, it is... The ComicsPRO meeting is happening right now in Charlotte. And listeners to this podcast who've been listening for at least 2 years will remember a series of episodes recorded in a car, in a rented vehicle, on the drive back from Memphis, where we were talking all about the ComicsPRO meeting. And we are not at the meeting this year. Obviously, no. We are here. And it's always the kind of thing where I feel like we're missing out, but the information comes to us anyway.
Yeah, it all gets posted online.
And I've been I've been reading some readers posting about how they weren't going to make it this year, but they went to, and they're so glad they did, because it just doesn't have the same effect when you're reading about it online.
Sure. There's a lot of people who talk about the camaraderie aspect of it and how being in a room with a bunch of other retailers who are concerned about the same things in the industry that you're concerned about creates a safety net almost, where you feel better about how things are going because people are seeing it too. And you can kind of brainstorm ideas together and have possible solutions. And if something's working for someone in their store, maybe you can try it in your store.
And I think that there's something to be said about the being energized and just the feeling of positivity that comes out of it from everybody.
I guess, but it's also horrifying that the few things that have come out either on Facebook from other retailers or on news sites who are covering ComicsPRO, the overall theme from publishers is we will make less things, which is a really weird thing to spark optimism in an industry, is we will make less stuff. Usually publishers would want to go in and go, here's all the great books we've got coming out, and here's all the great new things. And they are doing that, but they're doing that couched within, but less of the shit that you're not ordering and it's not selling. It's a weird thing, though, because, I mean, Boom, on ICV2, there was a recap of Philip Sablik talking about what Boom's doing and how Boom has reduced their number of titles year over year to concentrate on better selling titles, to really be able to market and focus on the titles they're releasing. But the problem is, Boom doing it, or Aftershock doing it, or, IDW doing it, doesn't really matter. Because if Marvel and DC aren't doing it, and DC is going to be doing it, some of it, I think they're pitching as, there's too many products in the market, we need to pare it down to a more healthy amount of product. But I think the other part is also, AT&T is cutting our headcount to the bone, and we're all going to have to do more with less. So not only is every editor of 3 books going to have to edit 6 books, but we're going to have to reduce the number of books we're putting out because we have to bring our numbers down. Sure. Because our budget is so much smaller and under so much more scrutiny right now.
It was initially reported erroneously that they were going to cut to just 22 books. It is called the New 22, but that was obviously completely wrong.
Yeah, I doubt even if they were going to do that, they would call it the New 22. That would be like branding it the DC implosion. Like, that's not something that a publisher does. That's not something you hang your hat on as like, yep, we're making way less books now. Like, that's not
That's
your
like
approach.
branding it the New Age of DC Heroes 2.
Right.
You know the thing that didn't work?
Yeah.
Let's double down.
Yeah. So all of that stuff where publishers are reducing titles doesn't matter if Marvel's releasing 115
you said.
comic books in the month of May.
And as you said, that's not counting graphic novels.
Yeah. This is...
when you add graphic novels to it...
Oh, it's absurd.
And then when you combine the total single-issue comic book and graphic novel output of DC and Image for the month, Marvel's only 28 books behind them.
All of this was coming on the heels of ICV2 posting a thing with Marvel, DC, Image, and other companies, because the anecdotal feeling is that too much stuff is coming out, and it feels like more than ever before in a market that isn't growing dollar-wise year over year in a way that would mandate this much new product coming out. And retailers are talking about how they're not seeing a ton of new people coming in, so the absorption rate for these new series is terrible, and it's mostly on the backs of people who have already been buying a ton of stuff, just buying more of it and burning them out. So ICV2 did a thing where they looked at April 2014, April 2018, and April 2019 to look at like new number ones.
I'm sorry, was the first one 2014?
Yeah, April 2014, April 2018, and April 2019.
Okay.
To get like, here's what it was 5 years ago, here's what it was last year, here's what it is this year.
Okay.
Based off of solicitations.
Is this output?
Yeah. Marvel, for example, April 2014 had 13 number ones. April 2016 had 6. April 2019 up to 18.
Okay.
Overall total titles?
And honestly, that number in 2014 sounds high, like it was part of some sort of new title initiative.
But I don't
remember
I'm going to
that far
scroll
back.
real quick and see if...
Does it list what they were?
No, I mean, they don't go into a ton of detail. So it might have been a thing, maybe not. But just overall titles. Their thing is overall titles less variants, which means I guess they're just subtracting the number of variants from the number of books released over the month.
Okay.
April 2014 was 81. April 2018 was 84. April 2019 was 106. So just year over year, it went up by, what is that, 22 comics?
Wait, hold on. You said April 2019 is 106?
Yeah.
But you said it was...
May was what the number I was giving.
Oh, I'm sorry, May. Gotcha.
This was all done before the new catalog went up.
Okay.
So the month they were working with was April, which we just ordered from.
That's... Oh, my God.
Yeah. But DC Comics went from 81 overall titles, less variants, in April 2014 to 55 in April 2019, which is a much healthier number.
Right.
Image went from 60 in 2014 to 65 in 2019, down from what looks like a peak of 76 in 2018. Overall titles, though, for the whole market, I guess, April 2014 was 458, April 2018 was 503, but April 2019 was 473.
Huh.
So this is sort of the problem, where everybody else is kind of reducing, in a way. I mean, not everybody else.
Sure.
But most major publishers are looking at the idea of, we have to trim to create a healthier, sustainable market. And Marvel's just like, oh, cool, all the volume that you're moving away from, we're just going to put more stuff up.
I was trying to explain it to somebody yesterday that Marvel's whole point is to make sure you do not have any money to buy anybody else's books.
That's been their strategy for at least 29 years that I'm familiar with. Maybe
but
even
it's
longer
egregious now, and it's
oh,
blatant.
absolutely. One of the fun things to do, and I can't wait until the next Marvel facsimile thing comes out, because in those facsimile editions they have like all their house ads and stuff, like the checklist they would do every month.
Yeah.
If you looked at like how many comics Marvel put out in like any year in 1980s compared to literally any week they have now, it's night and day. Like, it's ridiculous.
I think the facsimile editions are a really neat idea.
Uh-huh.
I don't want to stock them because who's going to buy them when there's how many different War of the Realms tie-ins are coming up in May?
25?
Yeah, 25, you said.
25.
That's insane.
It's an insane number.
Some might say that's a giant man number.
I wouldn't. Just as an aside for the War of the Realms thing, I don't want to bag on this thing because I am excited about War of the Realms. I think the creative team is great. I like Thor.
And it's a story that's been building for the last 5 years that you've been engaged by.
Absolutely. The amount of product they're tying into it feels completely disproportionate to the amount of interest that I've seen from people in it.
Yeah.
Like, this is a level of product where it's like JLA versus Avengers 2 also featuring the cast of Saga. Like, War of the Realms is going to be, I think, really good. I don't think it's the sort of book that's going to stretch outside of the regular Marvel readership. And I don't even think it's going to stretch outside of the usual Avengers Thor readership.
Yeah, agreed.
I don't necessarily assume that people who are only reading X-Men are going to be like, yep, I got to check out 6 issues of War of the Realms.
Now, the fact that it crosses over into Squirrel Girl, that's actually organic, and it sounds clever.
Yeah, that's fun. And I mean, I read Squirrel Girl, so that's great. But I don't think I'm going to read all of these miniseries. I'll read the first issues because I always want to know if it's entertaining or whatever. And I can read these for free, so I don't mind sampling it. I don't think I'm going to read the 80 issues or whatever this thing ends up being by the end of it.
No.
I don't need that much War of the Realms in my life.
I told somebody that it was officially 1,500 tie-in issues, and they believed me.
Yeah.
Because that's what we expect.
It seems reasonable.
And as the story was growing and announced as a thing, I didn't think anything of it, more of it, than just like, all right, it's just this little corner of the universe special like Spider-Geddon.
Yeah.
No, it's everything for months. And I'm telling you right now, I am ordering so low on all this stuff.
Oh, for sure,
Do you think, how many people do you think want the Giant Man miniseries? The Giant Men. War of the Realms Giant Men miniseries.
Not a lot.
Right?
Not a lot. I mean, all of these, I'm looking at them just like, there's some fun creative teams and some interesting ideas in here. But good God, when you're looking at an average of 5 War of the Realms tie-ins every single week for the month of May, I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot of War of the Realms,
You
dude.
can't, not that we would, but you can't even, as a retailer, offer sets to people.
No.
Because we have no idea how many more things are coming out.
Yeah. But anyway, getting back to the main topic, it's frustrating when a lot of publishers are doing the things that are healthy for the industry, but the market leader is doing the most predatory, unhealthy things they can possibly do. And getting rewarded for it on a monthly basis. They're the market leader. Even though we can all look at things and go, but you'd be doing so much better if you did these, they can just point to the charts and go, yeah, but what we're doing works.
Yeah, you buy it.
Yeah. All of these things work. 20-something covers for War of the Realms #1. That's going to make it the #1 book of the month.
Yeah.
Sure.
25 covers for that book.
Yeah. And more all the time.
Yep. After we've FOC'd the first issue.
I guess. I don't know if we have or not.
We get...
I don't know if we have.
Oh, okay. After we initial ordered it, then.
Yeah.
I guess.
It was a weird one. We initial ordered it in the March shipping catalog, but it was listed in the April shipping catalog because it's actually shipping in April.
Yeah. But they need the lead time for whatever reason. I'm surprised they haven't announced a cover enhancement.
I mean, usually that's why they have an early release, is because there's going to be a lenticular cover, a foil cover.
Something.
Some element to it that needs greater lead time, but I don't remember them announcing anything. Maybe they did and I just didn't care.
I sent you information about things that are happening.
Yeah.
But, like, the majority of it we can't talk about on this podcast.
Nope.
But we can't...
The stuff I'm mentioning is stuff that's been posted on other websites for the public.
Yeah. Yes. And that's fair. We can do that.
I think so.
But I think
Phillips Abbott could like people to know what Boom is doing for retailers.
Yeah.
That's why he gave it to, like, The Beat or ICV2 or somebody.
I love the dichotomy of DC Comics saying, hey, here's the things that we're trying to do for the retailers, here's how we're trying to listen, here's the lengths we're going to, and, you know, you've said you want previews, DC previews, to be orderable for your shelves. We're making it that way because you asked for that. You know, we're doing
frankly,
this.
Real quick, I was a little surprised they were offering it as a for sale thing instead of the free way that Marvel does it.
Yeah, but Marvel didn't always do it that way.
No, but
it used to be a for sale
they
way.
have been recently.
Yeah.
So I don't know why DC can't, other than they don't really want to. I got to tell you though, no one takes that Marvel Previews catalog.
Yeah, and no one ever turns anything in from it.
Way back, they were giving us like 80 something, and we were throwing a ton away. So we cut it once they allowed us to FOC it down to a number that we needed.
Yeah,
25.
Yeah.
The first week of release, when we had it on the New This Week rack, how many copies do you think we gave away? How many copies do you think people took in the first week?
8.
5.
Wow.
5. A free Marvel catalog. 5 people. 5 people took it. They don't care.
Do you think... Work with me here.
You can stuff it in bags. People are just going to throw it away.
I was going to say, do you think it'd be worth it 1 month to get enough to give every subscriber one for free?
No.
I mean, there'd be a tremendous number.
We used to leave a stack of them on the counter and gave it to everybody, and no one added anything.
Yeah, but this would, like, put it in their boxes.
Even then.
But that'd be a whole bunch of, I didn't order this.
Yeah. They're just going to throw it away. They don't want it. They clearly don't want it. It's in the same section where the comics were. All the Marvel comics they were buying, and they didn't want it. There was literally a shelf of it.
But do you think that because it's with the rest of the for sale stuff, you think even though it says free on it, you think people thought it might be...
5 people clearly didn't.
Yeah. Maybe those 5 people were willing to buy it.
Maybe. No one acted like they needed to give us money for it.
But anyway, so Boom has a presentation, and they say, here's all the things we've listened to you, and here's what we're doing.
Uh-huh.
DC has a presentation that says, you know, there's too much stuff. You need to have a better focus. Here's what you've asked us to do. Here's what we're doing.
Uh-huh.
Marvel has a presentation that says, look at all the cool stuff we have. Movie trailers?
Yes. By the way, we will be taking no questions. That's a lie. I don't know if they did that. Although I always think Marvel's going to do that. I'm sorry. We're out of time for Q&A. There's 40 minutes left. I'm sorry. We have no time for Q&A. Who wants to see Inhumans?
They could literally not have a presentation and just say questions, and that would fill like 4 hours of time. So,
obviously, one of the major things about something like ComicsPRO is the ability to give feedback to publishers. I will say this. Obviously, there's a lot of things that we think about publishers and what they should do and not do, and we'll bag on different publishers for different things they do. But all respect to every company that sends somebody out to ComicsPRO or the Diamond Retailer Summits or Diamond Retailer Breakfasts and puts their head in the retailer mouth like that, because I don't know that there's a more difficult job in the industry than having to sit in front of that crowd and let them be heard. Because, so, here's my analogy about what it's probably like to be a publisher representative at something like ComicsPRO. Let's say you have to order pizza for you and 3 friends.
Okay.
And so you're asking the 3 friends, what do they want on their pizza? And the first friend goes, a meat topping? I'd really like a meat topping, but no vegetables, please. No vegetables. I hate that on a pizza. I think it's terrible. I don't think anyone likes it. Second person says, I'd really prefer like a vegetable topping. It doesn't really matter which one, but no meat, please. No meat on a pizza. Can't handle it. It's terrible. It's always terrible. And the third person goes, I don't really care what's on it, just no plain pizza. No plain pizza at all. Just some topping, doesn't matter what. What pizza are you going to order that's not going to piss off at least one person?
I thought the third person was going to be gluten-free.
No, it's just, you are in a position where...
I mean, I'll tell you what I would order.
You're going to order a pizza, and then one person's going to go, I explicitly told you I didn't want this, and you ordered it anyway. Why aren't you listening to me? Why? I'm giving you advice. I'm telling you how to make a good pizza, and you're ignoring it. And you could go, but these two said... They don't care what the other two said.
I have a very...
Are you going to get a calzone?
No, I have a very foolish question.
Uh-huh.
What do you want on the pizza?
Bacon. Extra cheese.
I mean, as the person who's ordering
light
it.
sauce. But that's the thing. Like, you have to...
Extra cheese and light sauce. No, man, just get cheesy bread.
You have to get a pizza for everybody.
Get cheesy bread and you can dip it.
And you're trying to get something where everyone's going to enjoy it, but any choice you make is going to take a third of the people who you're trying to help and buy a pizza for angry at you. And there's no perfect choice. And you can try and explain to that third person, look, I get what you're saying, but I have to get a pizza, and it has to be a certain configuration. That means I pick these two people to make happy and you to be upset, and I'm sorry about that, but there's nothing I can do about it. But that person is going to go on Facebook and tell everybody how you screwed it up, and they were perfectly reasonable, and you've been just unresponsive, and you don't listen, and you say you're going to do things, but you don't. You just get a bad pizza that no one wants.
I would get half pepperoni.
But these other two,
half mushroom and onion.
That's not the majority. That's just two individual people who are happy with the pizza. Everybody I talk to agrees with me. So on and on. So overall, that's publishers.
Yeah, to illustrate your point, there was one of the things that I sent you was a retailer outlining a 10-step, not a 10-step plan, but 10-point plan of things that would benefit everybody.
An action plan, yeah.
And for one of the key biggest things, which I'm not saying.
Uh-huh.
And then there was, of course, a litany of comments beneath it.
Uh-huh.
Most of them were, thank you for doing this. This is great. Oh, my God, this is so good. One of them was like, no.
Yeah.
I absolutely do not want this because of the labor and the expense.
Sure.
And I wrote a reply, and then I deleted it, because what's the fucking point? But the reply was like, labor and expense? There's no labor, and it's the opposite of expense.
Best thing about the comics industry is that there's no wrong way to run a comic shop. The worst thing about the comics industry is there's no right way to run a comic shop.
Yeah. Well, I feel like you can say there's no right way to do it, and there's definitely wrong ways to do it.
No, I mean, the amount of stores that still exist that do things that you and I would look at and go, how do you do that and exist? And they've done it for 20 years, and it's serving their market. There was a thing, Brian Hibbs had a Tilting at Windmills where he was responding to someone who'd asked him a question. They were a store that's predominantly Marvel and DC, and they're also nervous about a reliance on Marvel and DC going forward because of all the things in the industry that we've talked about before.
And they try to push indie titles, and it doesn't work.
Yeah, and how do you do that? How do you shift your store to something more sustainable? And, the short answer is you can't really do it overnight. Like, it's a long-term commitment to a specific kind of store model, and it might mean underserving some of the customers you have right now in hopes of drawing in new customers. We've talked before about how the collectibles aspect of the market can be detrimental when dealing with new customers because they don't care about the collectible part of it. They care about stories. So if you're pricing up recent issues or only selling variants or doing all these sort of collectible things that work for a collectible store, you risk turning away the potential new readers that will read stuff by Boom and Aftershock and Dark Horse and Image and IDW and all these other companies that are allowing you to kind of spread your money out away from just being a Marvel DC store, which, again, in the future may not be a smart bet for a store. But yeah, it's... I hope the people doing ComicsPRO get what they need out of it. I hope all of them figure out better pathways for the industry in 2019 and 2020.
Did you happen to see a piece on, I think it was on the Comics Journal, by Menachem Lukens from the Escape Pod Comics?
No.
It was a kind of a great counterpoint to the Brian Hibbs column you were just talking about. Basically, first of all, the weirdest part about it is that he said an anonymous version of the same article is being distributed as a pamphlet at ComicsPRO this weekend. But here's the full thing where he's credited on the Comics Journal site, which I'm like, why would you distribute an anonymous flyer? And it's basically saying it prefaces it with, this is his point of view. He hasn't been a retailer for long. He runs a different kind of store, but the direct market is dead and comic stores killed it. It's not that it's dying. It's not that it's trouble. It is dead, and it's all these stores' fault.
Okay.
And it was it was very from his point of view, but it was so not confrontational or aggressive, but I just couldn't help but read it and think, no, you're wrong again. No. But I understand where he's coming from, what he's trying to say. And they're just a graphic novel store.
Sure.
And one of the things he brought up was that he went onto the Amazon chart, which he has been told from Amazon is updated like every 15 minutes, to the top 10 best-selling graphic novels.
Yep.
So he pulled up that list as well, and his store only had 4 of those books in stock. So I'm like, all right, I want to play this game.
Sure.
So I did it. I went to Amazon and checked out the top 10 best-selling graphic novels. Now, I don't know how to...
Look, Umbrella Academy Apocalypse Suite is out of stock at Diamond right now.
Dal, Umbrella Academy had 4 of the top spots.
So, they only have 2 graphic novels.
That is correct.
What are the other 2?
Volume 3, which doesn't come out until August.
Which is in the new catalog.
is already on their top 10 list.
Wow, okay.
And also a Kindle version of one of the books.
Okay. Well, obviously we're not going to stock the Kindle
Right.
version.
There were several other Kindle books, but I looked at those books. Like, we carry the print version of those.
Okay.
Every single book on that top 10 list is a media tie-in. Battle Angel.
Sure.
Battle Angel full set.
We have to change around what's on our front counter because we have to start stocking the new Shazam trade that's coming out.
Yeah.
Because this is the mode where people are going to start being more aware of Shazam and wanting to read that. We've already got Captain Marvel on there.
Wait. Captain Marvel is Shazam.
Wait, what? But yeah, I mean, if we could get Umbrella Academy, which we'll have to probably look at Baker and Taylor and see if they bought it.
Which is insane that we can't get volumes 1 or 2 from Diamond Comics.
We got 2 in. Both of them were damaged. People still bought both of them.
Yep.
Because they just needed it.
And we had people asking later that day and again today.
Yeah. Everyone watched it last weekend, and now they want more of it. Which, if I was smarter about it, it's... Normally, the point at which everyone wants a media tie-in is directly before the media drops. Except for Netflix. Because no one's aware of it until it lands on Netflix, and then they get into it. Everything else has promotion ahead of time, and you and I probably could have seen trailers and stuff for Umbrella Academy leading up to the release to know that it was a thing that was happening, but most people don't even know about it until they turn on Netflix that weekend, and they're like, what's this Umbrella Academy?
Yeah.
It's recommended for me. It looks cool. Ellen Page, I'll watch that. And then they're like, it's a comic book? What?
You know what else is doing well for us along those lines?
What's that?
Deadly Class.
Yeah, at Deadly Class we've always had stocked of, but we've spotlighted it a little bit more now that it's a sci-fi TV show.
Right.
And it's got the sci-fi cover. So yeah, I mean, we always try to do a good job with having that media stuff because it legitimately is successful. People come in and we joked about it on, I think, Tuesday or Wednesday, that finally, Umbrella Academy is validated. You know, the awards didn't do it. The general acclaim, the decade of sales didn't do it. Now that it's a TV show,
now
finally it's worth reading.
And
finally.
We actually started putting it on the front table when they announced the movie. The TV show. Yeah,
when they were doing panels and stuff at New York, I think, is when we started to spotlight it. But that was stupid because the audience for it wasn't even aware of it yet because they don't care what's at New York Comic Con and they don't care about trailers because they're not being shown trailers. They're shown the trailer on Netflix when the series drops.
Yeah.
Not before.
Nope.
Netflix doesn't need you to add it to your list or whatever. They don't care. You'll watch it the Friday it comes out because it'll be on the top of their screen that says Umbrella Academy. And it's trending now. And you'll go, okay. So yeah, it's...
I take it back. One book on the top 10 wasn't a media tie-in. It was one of the Sarah Scribbles books.
Okay, which we've got.
Yeah. We didn't... Like, with the exception of what we can't get.
Well, I mean, I don't know if Baker and Taylor has it. Like,
Right, okay. Well,
we can't get through Diamond.
Right, which we also don't get Sarah Scribbles through Diamond.
No.
But
I mean, I guess that's sort of the point, is the Sarah Scribbles stuff is clearly a successful graphic novel series.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gag comics, but I'm
still
sure...
funny.
Yeah, I don't know why... It's still comics, so there's no reason why Diamond shouldn't carry it.
I feel like we need to restock the full line of Big Nate books again.
Okay.
Because he's mentioned in the third breath of...
Lincoln Pierce.
Yeah, Lincoln Pierce. It goes Raina, Dav Pilkey, Lincoln Pierce.
Okay.
So, but I mean, we need to do a Baker and Taylor order anyway.
Yeah. Well, we were going to do one this coming Wednesday, so we'll just add that to the list.
Sure, I'll start digging. You know what? If I have time tomorrow, which I don't think I will,
start adding stuff in the cart.
Yeah, going back through the last several weeks of here's what Diamond canceled on us.
Uh-huh.
I was going to start this episode of the podcast like this. Dal, as you know, the ComicsPRO Annual Meeting is happening right now in Charlotte, where retailers from all over the world have gathered with publishers and reps from companies to talk about the future of the industry and how to save comics. Mm-hmm. So I thought we would start our podcast with a subject that is near and dear to my heart, Queensrÿche.
Go on. I'm already more interested than anything I would talk to people about at ComicsPRO.
When Queensrÿche split off into two, we previewed each version of the bands on this podcast. So talking about Queensrÿche is not unprecedented. But also, this particular subject, I think, is comics industry adjacent enough to merit discussion and transposing it on our industry. You're familiar with Pledge Music?
Yes.
Pledge Music is a crowdfunding website where bands will say, hey, we're going to make a new album. You pledge money to the album to, pre-order it and get reward tiers, like an autographed copy.
It's like a cross between Patreon and Kickstarter, but specifically for bands.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's not a situation, to my knowledge, it's not like Kickstarter where there's numerous horror stories of people never getting their pledges, never getting their rewards.
If anything, it sounds like recently it's been the opposite, where Pledge Music has kind of been falling down on the job as far as paying its various bands and creators.
Well, that's what I'm getting at.
Okay.
The new Queensrÿche album is scheduled to be released next week. Uh-huh. And I pledged it when it was first announced.
Sure.
And I went for the signed CD level.
Okay. Something to play in the car.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with digital download.
Sure.
But throwing them a little bit of extra money to get this thing done, and a signed copy is neat.
Sure.
I bought a Joe Jackson CD from Newberry Comics, because Newberry Comics was offering signed CDs. And what it was they got a stack of the books ahead of time, and those were all signed.
Okay.
So you got a shrink-wrapped CD with an extra insert book signed.
Okay.
So you have two insert books.
Okay.
Super weird.
Yeah, I guess.
And they also sent an email ahead of time saying, hey, some of these are damaged in shipping. If you have a problem with it, let us know. It's fine. I had no problems whatsoever.
That's cool.
Plus, I don't care that much.
No.
But it was... I'd already pre-ordered it on iTunes.
Okay.
But I'm like, I'll have a physical copy. Why not?
Sure.
That's a fun thing. Divorce could even make CDs.
It's true.
Which is available on every streaming service and internet music buying place ever. There's a good dozen sites I never heard of that Divorce Good is on. But anyway, Queensrÿche sent out an email 2 weeks ago saying, hey, everybody, we can't make the CD. Pledge Music did not give us our money.
Yep.
They raised $70,000 for this CD. Now, the CD is produced and recorded. It exists.
Right.
Pledge Music the money from Pledge Music was for the actual processing, the production, the pressing, and the distribution. Pledge money is done. I'm sorry, Pledge Music. They're done. They have no money. Awesome. Queensrÿche is getting $0.
Cool.
So they have no way to make or distribute the CD. And while the Pledge Music site is active, and every band that has a campaign or had a campaign, you can still see it. You can see all the posts. You can see all the comments and things. If you click donate, it'll just say, not accepting donations at this time. Pledge Music is done.
Yeah, that's too bad.
this band is $70,000.
Yeah.
And so basically they're like, hey, you got to talk to your credit card company, get the money back. Most people pledged a year ago. Mm-hmm. Banks don't give you refunds on things from a year ago.
I mean, depending on how much you pledged and how much you want to fight with them on it, like, it's possible. I don't work for a credit card company, so I don't know how much they're going to stonewall you. But, yeah, I mean, you're kind of... Cross your fingers. It's kind of where you're at.
And, like, things like lyric sheets or, like, goods that they have, they're still sending out of their own pocket.
But I feel especially bad because I'm sure that part of their tour strategy was we're going to produce these CDs and these are going to be things that we're going to sell at the shows.
Yeah, and tour shirts and all that stuff.
Now you're not going to be able to do that. So you're doing these shows and you have no merch to sell.
So as they were releasing, like, since you got the CD, you get the digital download as well. Mm-hmm. And they were releasing singles. I'm like, I don't want to get the singles that far in advance because I don't want to be burned out on those and hate that part of the CD. So I quickly went in and made sure I was able to download all those. It's 3, but...
Just in case.
And I'll be honest, I'm not that bothered because it was like $15.
Yeah.
But the number
sure they had higher tiers than that,
they
though.
definitely did. Like, signed guitars and things like that.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, because that's a product that exists, they're still getting those to people.
But that super sucks because basically they were selling that signed guitar and now they're not getting the money. So they're still out the guitar.
Yeah.
And they got nothing for it. And they have to do this stuff when they should never have had to.
The part that bugged me the most was the number of people like, but I'm not getting my CD.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
this band is not getting $70,000 they need.
Yeah. They're like, look, Century Media, the record label, is willing to resell you these things.
Uh-huh. But they're not filling orders.
Right.
There's no money. They didn't get a dime.
So, I'm not worried about me getting this CD. I'm worried about the CD ever existing.
Yeah. Or, I mean, what is that band going to do next? Because is there another platform at which they could potentially crowdsource $70,000 for another album?
The weird thing
and then
about...
how many of their fans who gave them money for this other thing and got burned are going to feel like they're going to go to another site and belly up again?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there are people that are holding it against them when it's not their fault. And I've used Pledge Music for, like a dozen albums in the last couple of years. And I actually thought it was a neat idea. It was a thing like I didn't have to worry about getting it when it came out because I already had it coming to me. Mm-hmm. And I feel like a little bit more involved in the process. Yeah, I don't know if they'll have anything to sell or to sign. Man, I had a big point. It went away. Do you think that this is akin to like a Kickstarter just saying, okay, we have no money. Like we've collected all this money on your behalf. We can't give it to you.
Yeah. I mean, it basically is. It's there's a thing where Patreon recently did like an interview where they were talking about how their service is going to be changing in the future, and it was this thing about like they don't know if they're going to be able to keep doing like their. I can't remember how the article phrased it, but it was like their ability to graciously pass along 90 whatever % of what people pledge, and it's like. They're not being gracious in giving the creators 90% or whatever of the money.
That's what you advertised as the whole...
They're keeping 10% for their service.
Yeah.
Like, that money was not given to Patreon as like a, we love Patreon, give it to whatever creator you want. Patreon is just the middleman. They don't love the middleman. Which, I mean, should be the motto of the podcast that we're doing. No one loves the middleman. We're the middleman.
Yeah,
Shouldn't matter. It's
PayPal has a site where people can donate instead, like Patreon, but not a monthly recurring thing. Just hey, give money.
Yeah,
and they set it up. I think it was like PayPal.me. Mm-hmm. Ours is just PayPal.me/challengers.
Okay.
So I mean that's not a thing we've ever advertised before because that seems super weird. Like hey, just give us money for no reason.
Yeah, I don't know why you do that. I don't recommend that.
If Patreon goes away,
so
will this podcast.
I don't think Patreon will. Although Patreon definitely doesn't care about people like us.
No.
They would much prefer a few high-value creators rather than a bunch of people making a living or having a hobby.
In fact, what Patreon tells people, like to get new business, they say, like, hey, you really be comfortable here, you'd find a good home, make a lot of money.
However,
There's
so
some,
you know.
There's some comic things over here that you're not going to be interested in.
You won't have to see them. Don't worry.
That would be great if we were done. That'd be a perfect way to encapsulate it.
However,
well, I'm just double checking.
Real quick on ComicsPRO, a friend of the podcast had texted because they're at ComicsPRO, and they'd asked, was there anything that we wanted them to ask publishers since we weren't going to be there? And I said, nah, thanks. Have a good weekend. There's genuinely nothing I want people to bring up or ask about. I don't.
Yes. One, do they miss us? Two, what plastic robots are there?
Probably none.
I'm sure he'd be able to find out.
I'm sure.
Is there a rep from IDW? Do they have any new information?
I don't know if IDW is there. I assume they are. Probably.
I assume everybody is, but I'm also surprised by the number of people that aren't there. Also,
I guess
the horrible weather on the East Coast trapped a lot of people. And some people couldn't go.
That's unfortunate.
There's a number of retailers that could not get to the
Charlotte,
meeting.
North Carolina.
Yeah. Yep.
Flair country.
As you know, Diamond was closed for a few days because of all the snow.
They were closed on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Which delayed us being able to download our invoice. But it was all resolved before the Friday morning email, which I was grateful for.
There was a thing that I emailed you that I had asked... Before I gave you the body of the text, I said, hey, I really think we should look into doing this.
Sure.
But I don't feel like we should talk about that.
No, definitely not.
Okay. I feel a little bit bad because there's a lot of, let's not talk about this stuff. Where,
okay.
Our point is to be open.
Yeah, but within
people
reason.
Listening. Yeah,
Here's how I look at our transparency. It's easy for you and I, to decide what we want to be transparent about in regards to challengers. When it comes to the larger industry, other people have other interests, and we don't want to necessarily harm their interests because we don't care.
Right. And also, what does it get us to talk about a thing that we were told, you can't talk about this yet?
Yeah, if there's ever anything that we talk to people in the industry about, and it ever is this is a secret, we're not going to talk about it on the podcast. It's just a non-starter.
I mean, for the most part. We've been guilty of certain things. Hey, do you remember we got in trouble in a previous life from Marvel because one of us, I think it was you, but it might have been me.
I mean, probably.
Was saying something that we weren't supposed to be talking about. I mean, Marvel got mad at us because you coined the phrase, Marvel puts the laugh in Onslaught.
Oh, did I really?
Yeah.
Oh, Marvel got mad at that?
Yeah. Well, because it was...
Short-sighted.
We were doing an Onslaught display.
Oh, right.
Remember we had first we had the giant Onslaught cut out and a ton of action figures massacred before him, and the contest was name every figure in this window. But we also had a dump display inside, and you made a sign that says Marvel's the Laugh and Onslaught. And not only was it the Rich Hernandez, the Marvel rep, touring, but his boss was with him.
Ooh.
And they were really unhappy, and it got back to the owner of that store.
Oh, man.
Yeah. And our point was, we're pushing it.
Yeah.
It's on a floor display where that book is there.
Look, we're promoting it, okay?
Yeah. And it's just a fun play on words.
I don't remember that at all.
But there was a thing, and the more I think about it, the more it was me, was something I was told, I turned around and shared, but no one ever said, hey, this is
privileged information.
Specifically, this is proprietary information.
Oof.
I'm like, I didn't know that. You know?
I do remember we were... I was working a day at Naperville, and it was Marvel Mega Tour, I think, maybe, or something. Joe Quesada was signing upstairs.
Yeah.
And this is when he was still artist Joe Quesada, not
sure
creative executive and publisher Joe Quesada.
That was Marvel Mega Tour 2 weekend.
But we had... I can't remember how I had found out. I don't know if I'd overheard in a conversation or it was already, rumoring in the industry that... Batman was going to get a redesigned costume coming out of Nightfall, and Joe Quesada had done the design. So as I'm standing in line, watching the line as people are winding around to get their stuff signed by Joe Quesada, I'd mentioned, oh, this is the rumor that he's doing this costume, and so people would get up there and ask him about it, and he can't talk about it. Because it was supposed to, debut in Wizard Magazine in, a couple weeks. So, the whole day he's getting these questions about this Batman costume that he's I don't know what you're talking about, I can't say anything. So I probably made his signing experience... unbelievably bad.
Well, he was upstairs by himself.
Downstairs, he was at the magic counter.
Yeah, Downstairs was Rick Parker, Anna Maria Cool, and Amanda Connor.
Yeah, you guys were having a blast.
Oh, yeah, we were
With,
having a great time.
The Butthead team and
Yeah.
like the Barbie artist. Yeah.
Yeah, and I spent my whole time just flirting with Anna Maria and Amanda.
Sure.
And then they did me a joint Barbie sketch, which the owner of that chain promptly took because, well, it's his store. He gets it. Even though it was for me and they were talking, the characters were talking to me.
He just wanted to remember you from that
Yeah,
day.
he took that and then tried to sell it. Yeah, classy move. And then there was a gift shop across the street, so I ran across the street and got gifts for them for signing and everything. And again, I got in trouble for that because since I was the one giving the gifts to them, it looked like they were coming from me personally.
Okay.
Not the store.
I see.
When none of them thought that was
you
the case.
You monster.
I know. Yeah. So, surprise visitor at the store today.
I have no guess.
Okay.
You've given me no clues.
I know. I was filing back issues in the filing cabinet, and you hear the chime of the door go in, and I hear somebody mumble, and I don't pay attention, and I hear Ashley say, "Oh no, he's in the back," and I turn around, it's my dad.
Hey,
it's my dad. My dad
Mr.
came to the
Brower.
store, and he had not been in Challengers for like 4 or 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
What brought him out to the city?
He had a doctor's appointment at Rush.
Okay.
And he said that he knew I would get mad at him if I knew he was in the city and didn't stop by, which, not true.
Yeah. Didn't sound true.
He hadn't been in the store, so I walked on and showed him what was different, and he looked at Captain Marvel and said, "That's not my childhood." And I went over and grabbed a Shazam. I go, "No, Dad, this is your childhood." And he said, "He was never that muscular." And I'm also not doing my dad's voice, just because I don't want to be that mean.
Thank you.
Just imagine Jim Ross.
Slobber knocker.
So then he spent the rest of the time telling everyone that Ashley was really in charge and that she does all the work, and I just drag her down like he thought it was funny, and I just agreed with him.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you're right. Like, why do you think she was behind the counter and I was in the back filing back issues? Yeah, she's the face of this place, man.
Yeah.
Not the AJ Styles face that runs the place, but yeah, she's in charge. That's fine.
AJ Styles is the face that runs the place?
Yeah.
I thought that was John Cena.
No, I thought he had a different...
Did they have a fight over that? And AJ Styles won it from him?
Man, because there's like 3 different versions of that.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry. AJ Styles is the hoe that runs the show.
I beg your pardon?
No, that's not right. It's something like that. I don't remember. Nonetheless, I shouldn't have brought that reference up. I just thought it was, my dad is in the store today.
That's great.
That's neat.
What a neat surprise.
Hey, so we haven't heard from our window guy in about a month and a half.
Our window guy.
The guy who cleans our windows?
He was in the 15th.
Was he?
It's on the calendar.
Is it on the calendar?
Mm-hmm.
Damn. Because he
had
hadn't...
Sunday the 15th.
Okay, because he wasn't...
Or whatever it would have been. That's Sunday the 16th?
Okay.
16th.
Because he was in the first week of January, and then not again.
Is that right?
Yeah.
What day is it today?
Today's 22nd.
So it would have been the 17th? 17th.
17th, yeah.
Sunday the 17th.
Huh, so just this last Sunday.
Yes.
Wow, because I did the windows today.
Okay.
Really needed them. And I was about to say, like, we haven't heard from Dwayne in, like, almost 2 months. Mm-hmm. I looked him up on Facebook to see if he had died or something. He hasn't had any new posts in a while.
He was definitely live on Sunday.
And I was about to say, let's talk to Tom Stillwell's company, because while it takes me like 20, 25 minutes to do the windows, and I don't do a perfect job. I don't mind cutting corners here and there.
Right. Apparently Dwayne likes cutting corners as well, if you had to do it again today.
And also, Dwayne does it really quickly.
He really does.
Compared to what I do. And I thought...
He does all the exterior windows, ground floor, it's like 8 minutes.
Yeah.
Real fast.
And I did as much as I could reach on the inside, because nothing shows you how gross the insides are than doing the outsides and looking out of them. Like, oh, all those stains and things that I thought I was getting on the outside are on the inside.
Yeah.
But I just did what I could reach.
Okay.
Somebody had spilled something down the back of the window behind the local artist Because from the outside, I'm like, what is this huge, like all these spill marks on the window? And that's a pain to get to because you got to pull all the boxes out and do all that. Well, then I guess we're not looking to get new window people.
I mean, we can. It sounds like you're unhappy with Dwayne's work.
Yeah, but I feel bad. Not, I thought he was dead. I was okay moving on that way.
Jeez. Dark.
It's not my fault.
I'm sorry he's not dead, Patrick.
I think he doesn't like you or is scared of you.
Maybe. I mean, I've had to complain to him a number of times about discussions we've had and how he disregards them.
Sure. I had no idea he was in.
Yeah.
Oh, well. That's what I get for looking out the windows. We cleaned so much at the store today.
Great.
I feel like I have to tell you because you won't notice. But Ashley took everything off every surface behind the counters.
Yeah.
All the club boxes, the computer, everything on all those shelves, and cleaned them all.
Well, you and I spent a bunch of time Wednesday, because it was dead, cleaning the store.
Yeah.
I did all of the superhero and sci-fi fantasy graphic novel bookshelves. I rearranged them to organize them and straighten them, and then cleaned every shelf while I was there.
Did you clean the sci-fi fantasy?
Maybe I didn't. Maybe
Yeah, I don't think you did. You definitely did the front side.
Yeah,
I actually did the back side.
I organized sci-fi fantasy, and then I think I ran out of time to clean them.
It was,
I wasn't even planning on doing that. It's just it was so dead at like 6:30 that I'm like, I can do this real fast.
Yeah, and I put a bunch of stuff on the task list for Thursday that I'm like, I'll just do it now.
Yeah.
Just honestly because I think I do a better job.
It was so dead on Wednesday. It was so dead.
And little things like, I'm just going to run to the back and get a soda. Oh, the fridge is empty. Oh, none of these, no water has been restocked. No soda has been restocked. Isn't that a task on Thursdays? Oh, it's not checked off. Like today we finished the other box of back issues that didn't get done on Wednesday. But the counters have never been, well, they have been cleaner when they were brand new.
Sure.
But like even after, the reason I knew you didn't do sci-fi, because after Ashley was done, I'm like, hey, did you do all the sci-fi shelves? Uh-huh. Even that middle one? I guess not. Oh, right, because I did this one, then I went and did all the tops, then I came back down and did the other sci-fi. I missed out when I go. Honestly, that's the one that I see. Like when from the computer, when you can see the amount of dust on the shelf, that's when you know, hey, Donovan doesn't work here anymore.
I came up a few times on Wednesday as I was cleaning shelves.
That's right.
Oh, Donovan hasn't worked a Friday in a while. These shelves are so dusty.
Everything is great, though.
Oh,
although, like the windows, I'm sure by the time you work next, you won't be able to tell.
Probably not.
Well, hopefully you, listener, can tell that you have just completed a full episode of Contest of Challengers, a comics industry business podcast on the Yak Channel Podcast Network in Chicago, wherein I, Patrick Brower,
and I, W. Bush,
talk about the decisions from the comics industry that inform us as to how we run our business. So thanks for listening.
And keep reading comics.
This has been Contest of Challengers. Thanks for listening. Keep reading comics. Challengers is located at 1845 Northwestern Avenue in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago. 773-278-0155. Keep up to date with new releases and events at challengerscomics.com. Like Challengers Comics on Facebook, follow @Challengers on Twitter, and help fund this podcast at patreon.com/challengers.